Hey everybody, Neil Flynn, and it is Sports Shorts time once again. A couple things I wanted to talk about to start off the video, and the first one being the article that came out in Sports Illustrated about the agent who admitted to paying players. Most of it was back in the 90s. Lux was his last, Josh Lux I think is his first name, but Lux is his last name. And he names names of players that he paid. Ryan Leaf was one of the big ones. Antonio Holmes. Jonathan Ogden, who he said refused to take the money. I think Santonio Holmes was another one that didn't take the money. But my thoughts on this, being a fairly significant college football fan, I don't think it comes as a major surprise that goes on. And I'm kind of torn about it. On one end, I feel like the big name players especially, you're on scholarship, you're getting a free education basically. So in a sense you are being paid. But then on the other hand, there's, the walk-on players and non-scholarship players that are held to the same restrictions but aren't, getting that free education. And so I don't know if you could make separate rules for those that are on scholarship or those that are not. Or if you just, change the restrictions so that they can go out and get, a bit of a job, so that they have some spending money. Because basically, as it says now, they're not allowed to do anything as far as a job. They can't do anything basically. And I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know if they get a stipend or anything like that. I don't think so from their scholarships. And basically what he said in the article, he wasn't giving them tons of money. He was giving them a couple $100s a week and stuff like that, just so they could go buy some groceries or something. So I don't know. It's one of those things that like I said, it doesn't come as a shock that goes on. But I don't think this is going to be some great revelation that, they suddenly change the system and all that, I don't think anything's going to happen because of it. But it is an interesting subject, and it's one of those hot button subjects that, gets people talking. But like I said, I think they should be allowed to do something, either whether the university pays them or they're allowed to go get a job. Because these universities are making money off these players, especially the football programs and things like that. And North Carolina basketball and those huge programs, they're making money off the players because, they have so many fans, and, those players aren't seeing any of that. But like I said, they are, the big name players are getting a free education. So they're, there's a give and take there. But I think they should be allowed to do something, I don't think it's a big coup if they go out and get a part-time job, but the other thing that I wanted to talk about is athletes and their decision-making, I guess would be the best way to put it. Part of this stems from the whole Brett Favre thing going on, apparently while he was with the Jets, sending pictures of his little Favre, so to speak, to Jen Sturger, who worked for the Jets at the time. I don't know what's going to come of it. I've heard that the voicemails that he left, it sure sounds like him, trying to get her to come over, basically. And you know what that means. They're not going to play Xbox, I don't think. And then the other is, the other story that came out that made me want to talk about this was Sean Merriman, who basically, as soon as he gets healthy again, is going to be full-out released by the Chargers. This is a former first-round pick who's had injury problems on the field, but has had a multitude of off-the-field problems. Steroid suspension, the whole tequila thing that I don't even want to get into. It's just, here you are, you're an athlete, you're being paid millions of dollars to play a game. I think we would all kill for that opportunity. And these guys just make some incredibly bad decisions. You've got the Ben Roethlisberger thing. Nothing actually came of that criminally, but you're an athlete. You don't need to put yourself in that situation. He comes off suspension this week, and he actually looks like he handled it right. He learned from it. He's making steps to change what he does. You got the Michael Vick situation. He's another one. It looks like he learned from it. He learned his lesson. But you've got all these guys making these horrible decisions. They've seen what happened to other players, and they still do it. It's like, you're being paid millions of dollars to play a game. Shut up. Play the game. Quit doing all this extra stuff to screw it all up. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Let's go ahead and get into the picks. Reviewing last week, we had another 500 week. 2-2 in college, 2-2 in the pros again. I think I learned one thing about last week. Apparently the bookmakers know what the hell they're talking about. Because I sure don't, apparently. Although I kind of called it, I went ahead and picked Tennessee. I kind of said I was worried about it. Them having an emotional letdown. It sure looked that way because Georgia jumped on them quick, and Tennessee was never able to look back. So we missed that one. Got Utah at Iowa State right. Utah was getting 6 points, and they just straight stomped them. FSU at Miami, another one. Miami was actually the favorite in that one, and FSU again killed them. The one that gets me most is the UCLA at Cal. I picked UCLA as the underdog, and it didn't work out well for me. One thing we've learned about my picks, if I'm going to miss gloriously, and it's going to be a horrible beatdown the other way, and that's pretty much what happened. Jacksonville at Buffalo. Jacksonville did win that one. They were a 1-point favorite. And the ATM lock, which was not a lock that week, that's the one that really said, okay, maybe these guys know what the hell they're doing. They had Detroit as the 3-point favorite, and they straight out stomped St. Louis. I don't know what happened in that one, or why I picked St. Louis, but there you go. Philadelphia at the Niners. Niners were a 3-point favorite. They went down big, and they actually nearly came back at the end until a late interception ended that one, so we missed that one. And Atlanta, the 3-point favorite at Cleveland, they went ahead and I think 10 points was the final in that one. So, like I said, 2-2 in college, 2-2 in the pros, so 4-4, which gives us 13-11 overall so far. So we're still on the winning side of things, but we need to have a good week here to kind of bump that up a little bit. So, getting into the picks for this weekend, I'm going to start with the NFL because I wrote it down that way. But, not on purpose. I usually do NCAA first. That's what I wanted. But wrote them down backwards, so we'll start with the NFL first. Sticking with the Falcons. They've been doing well for me. So, going to go ahead. They are a 2.5-point dog going into Philadelphia. There's still some debate about whether it's going to be Cobb or Vick starting. I think it's going to be Cobb. He's been leading the first team, I think, the last 2 days of practice. I don't know what happened today. But I think they're going to go with Cobb because I don't think Vick will be ready to play. It'll be interesting if Vick does play in that game, going against his old team. But I like Atlanta to win outright in that one. I think they're the better team. If they can get their ground game going, they're tough to beat. Next up, we have Oakland at San Francisco. San Francisco, the 6.5-point favorite. I'm going to pick them again. They better pay off this time because they sure let me down last week. Oakland did get a big win last week against San Diego, but I think San Francisco's 0-5. They got to win some point. So I think this is the week that they get it going. Despite the late interception last week, they had things going in the right path that fourth quarter. Next up, we have Indianapolis going into Washington. Indianapolis, the 3-point favorite there. I like them to cover that. They haven't looked like the Indianapolis of old. And the jury's still out on Washington, so we'll see. I like Peyton. Peyton shows up when he, hopefully I should say Peyton shows up when I need him to. So Indianapolis getting the 3 points there. And last but not least, Tennessee at Jacksonville. Jacksonville, the 3-point dog at home. They've looked really, really good this season. They beat Indianapolis early in the year. Tennessee's been hit or miss. They had a big win last week against the Cowboys. But I like Jacksonville at home. So I will take the 3 points there. Moving on to college football. I have shied away from picking Nebraska so far. And we have probably our biggest game of the year this year. Although the way Texas has played it has kind of lost some of its luster. It will be on national TV. But that is Texas going into Nebraska. Nebraska getting 9.5. One thing that I know about Texas is if you watch the UCLA game, they can't stop the zone read option. The one thing I know about Nebraska is they know how to run the zone read option. So you put those two things together, and I really think Nebraska can get it done. They've been looking to this game basically since the Big 12 championship last year. So I look for them to prove a point to the rest of the Big 12 as they get ready to say goodbye to the Big 12, and prove a point to Texas and really put one over on Texas. That defense, unless Texas went out and recruited a whole new defense in the last 2 weeks, I like Nebraska big in that one. So I will take the 9.5. Next up, we have Cal at USC, and we're going to go with the ACM lock on this one. Cal getting 2.5, if I can read my own writing. Or excuse me, USC getting 2.5, so Cal a 2.5 point underdog. The only thing that worries me is that it is at USC, but USC hasn't looked all that good this year. Cal has looked, especially the UCLA game last week where I picked against them, has looked really good, so I like Cal to win that one. Next up, Missouri at Texas A&M. Missouri is probably the worst undefeated team so far this year. They really haven't played anybody, and I like them to go down. Texas A&M, 3.5 point favorite at home. And I think Texas A&M is the better team, and I think they'll win that one. And last but not least, Ohio State at Wisconsin. Ohio State, number 1 team in the country because Alabama lost last week. Wisconsin is going to be an absolutely tough game for them. It's at Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a brutal rushing team, and I like them to pull the upset. They're getting 4 points. And I think, for my own personal reasons, I want Nebraska to move up in the rankings, so teams ahead of us need to lose, so I'm going to go ahead and pick against Ohio State, go with Wisconsin in the upset. And there you go. Hopefully our picks work out nicely this week, and we get a nice little jump on the winning side of things. And hopefully you guys are enjoying these little videos. It's something a little bit different. I'm going to try and get back into making regular game videos as well. So hopefully you guys are liking my stuff, and keep on watching. Take care, guys.